Well, everybody, welcome back to The Dish with Ben and Chad.
That's not at all the name of our podcast.
Yeah.
No.
This is our seventh.
Say it right. Say it right.
What do you want me to say?
The actual name of the podcast.
Dish.
With
Chad and Ben.
That's better. Oh, my right arm started hurting.
Okay, and welcome back to The Dish with Chad and Ben.
I'm Chad.
And I'm Glenn.
Hi, Glenn.
This is our 7th episode, so we decided to watch the movie Se7en, which everybody knows about, I feel like.
To be silly. You'd be surprised. I mentioned it to a couple people, and they're like, I've never seen that movie before.
Okay. Well, do you want to roll through the synopsis of the movie?
I'd love to, because for the first time ever, I actually wrote down all the little things that we always are like, oh, when did that come out?
Oh,
Who
good.
directed that?
Good.
All that stuff. I wrote all that down today.
A little bit more organized.
So the movie Seven was released on September 22nd, 1995, which is wild that it came out in 95, but it's such a good movie. And honestly, it holds up. There's nothing in that movie that I like.
No, you would never have to
couldn't
redo that movie.
Yeah, they couldn't redo it. It was perfect. Is directed by my single favorite director, Mr. David Fincher, starring Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt, and Kevin Spacey, which is funny because they actually kept Kevin Spacey's name off of all of the promotional material because they wanted to keep his identity a secret. They wanted to keep it a secret that he was in the movie because he plays John Doe, the antagonist.
Gwyneth Paltrow is in it too.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Gwyneth Paltrow
And Dr. Cox from Scrubs. I don't know that guy's name.
barely.
He's a good role.
He's
a cop.
A police officer for
Yeah.
one scene.
Yeah, he's great. He's in it a few times. Actually,
Magnum opus.
He's in the ending too, and he's on the helicopter, and he's like, he shot him. He shot him.
You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Spoiler alert, everybody.
No one even knows what I'm talking about. Somebody shoots somebody. Big deal.
What?
Big deal.
Unheard of. But yeah, it's a really great movie. So basically, Morgan Freeman plays this police officer. I don't know how long
He's
been
a
police
detective.
officer.
Yeah.
He's a detective. He plays this. He plays a detective, and he's like a week out from retirement, so he's ready to go.
He's worn down.
He's like done.
Yeah. He needs like a
Which-
metronome to sleep, and like he carries a stiletto switchblade with him, which is like a rough around the edges cop thing. It's very Dirty Harry of him.
He carries a stiletto and a revolver.
Yeah, a revolver. Yeah.
He's hoping not
he's
to
an
get
old
into
dog.
too much trouble.
He's an old dog, and he's sick of
wild.
it. He's like disgusted by the city that he like cared
Yeah.
about when he was younger, probably as a cop.
Yeah.
Wanted to take care of.
And that's the thing, being a son of a police detective who has retired, made it through, JS, it's tough at the end. The closer you are to the finish line, the worse the race is.
Detective
I swear.
Sergeant, Corporal, General.
He was Detective
JS.
Sergeant. MHPD. But yeah. He is a police detective. He's about done. He's ready for retirement. Basically, when this is taking place, it's about a week before his retirement. So he only has technically 5 days left. And he's training his replacement, Detective Mills, which is played by
Brad Pitt.
Young, handsome Brad Pitt. Good looking fella. And he moves to the city. He's been a cop for about 5 years. I think he just started in the detective bureau, but he's been a cop. He was, beat cop, and then he was in homicide. So this isn't like brand new to him, but it's like big city.
He's
like,
still
definitely
immature
newer.
though too.
Yeah, I mean,
He's immature.
I think in the movie, if he had just started, he was 5 years in. He's probably in his late 20s.
Yeah,
It'd be like me being a police officer. God forbid.
and his like he's not as like meticulous as like Morgan Freeman.
He's
is.
more run and gun.
Like
he's
Morgan Freeman's
definitely
reading books in the library.
You were
and,
like
he's
researching.
doing-
Well, and it shows from experience. Like that's what you have to do.
Right.
You have to kind of go through. You got to get in the head of these people, these criminals. But basically, it just it details the last case that Morgan Freeman works, and the first case that Brad Pitt works with this detective bureau. Owie. We don't actually know for certain what city it is in, but it was shot in New York. And there's a New York style pizza place that they talk about.
Oh.
Another thing that I read
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so there are these killings that are just like wild, like crazy gory,
Super
just
gory, yeah.
super intense, like obviously not like somebody just like spree killing, like this is really thought out, this is intentional. And it actually follows the 7 deadly sins. So they're going through, they're trying to get ahead of this guy. They cross his path a couple times. They don't even catch him. He gives himself up.
Yeah.
And the crescendo. It's just a very, very good movie. And I mean, we're going to be talking about all of the details of this movie. So again, if you want to watch it before you hear us talk about it, pause this, go watch it. The movie's like 2 hours. It's incredible.
It's a good one. It's definitely like not boring in any area of it. Like it would keep your attention like the whole time.
Yeah, it's wild. It's kind of an uncomfy movie.
It is, but it's a good movie.
The music was composed and arranged by Trent Reznor.
Uh-huh.
He also did the music for my favorite movie,
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo?
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. David Fincher also directed my favorite movie, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
He also did one of my favorite movies called The Game,
which I'm very excited to watch. We'll be watching both of those movies for the podcast at some point in time. But
for sure.
It's just a really, really good movie. Like, I love this movie.
It's a good one. It's like it's a classic.
I've loved it ever since I watched it first. And I can tell, like, movies that I used to watch when I was younger, like horror movies, I always knew they were going to be a good horror movie if I had a stomachache while I was watching it.
I don't think that's a horror movie, though, I wouldn't say. I wouldn't classify
Thriller.
it as a horror. Yeah, it's like a thriller.
When I was a
It's
child,
like
it was a horror
thriller,
movie.
yeah.
It was in the horror section at Blockbuster, so I remember
Probably, yeah.
I can tell you for certain because I used to be afraid of the horror section in Blockbuster.
I don't know either
it.
if he is like a total serial killer or not, because he kills people so quickly after each killing. I think he would be considered a spree killer. I don't know for sure. There is like a specific like what makes you a serial killer and what makes you a spree killer.
Killer versus serial killer. The general definition of spree murder is 2 or more murders committed by an offender or offenders without a cooling off period. Yeah. According to the definition, the lack of a cooling off period marks the difference between a spree and a serial murder.
Right, so he's a serial murderer.
No, he's a spree murderer. He's a spree killer.
He's a spree killer.
I didn't think he would be a spree killer because when I think of like spree killings, I think it's like very thoughtless and just like kill as many people as you can very quickly.
It could be.
Which shows that there's no cooling off period, but
yeah. Because he just keeps going. Like I feel like there's like they find a person like once a week or once every 2 weeks.
Well, it's quick. Well,
or no, days.
It's
days.
It's quicker than that.
So so he's like he's cranking them out. Because there's 7 deadly sins, and he kills each person with a theme of a specific sin that they're guilty of, or I think
it's all over about 2 weeks.
Right.
Because
but that's a lot of people. 7 people in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Detective Somerset ends up staying later.
That's a person retire. Every other day.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah,
it's gross.
It is gross. Yeah, it'd be stressful to like be a detective and have to catch someone like that,
dude.
Because like even like as you were like gathering information, he'd still be killing people.
Yeah.
So it would seem like it's your fault. They're like,
you can't.
Yeah.
Well, and that's I think that's a sentiment that a lot of people. Like a lot of police officers, I think, might have, or at least in movies, he's killing these people because I can't stop him. Mm-hmm. It's like, you're not a superhero. You're doing, everything you can.
You're doing the Lord's work.
Amen. God bless. But yeah, I don't know. Do we want to get into heavy questions right away, or do we want to hear some fun facts?
Let's do some fun facts first.
Let's try to keep it a little light for a second.
Lighten it up!
So this movie is really funny because there's the old wizened detective and the young buck. The old wizened detective obviously is Morgan Freeman. The young buck is obviously Brad Pitt. Some people that were considered for Brad Pitt's character.
Yeah.
Kevin Costner.
No, Kevin Costner would have been not a great. Well, no, Kevin Costner's a really good actor.
He's a great actor, but I don't think he would be able to be like a young.
And he doesn't ever look young to me. He's always looked like a dad.
Well, 95, that's around the time of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
He still looks like my dad.
Yeah.
Like at that point.
He's a dad forever.
Yeah.
And Nicolas Cage was considered.
Nicolas Cage gets cast for so many roles.
I'm happy they didn't offer him the role.
Yeah.
Somebody who was offered the role, though, funny enough, was Denzel Washington.
He would have done really well.
He turned it down.
Wow.
They offered it to him, and he turned it down. He said, it's too dark. I don't want to do that.
Damn.
And then he saw an early screening of the movie, and he said, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
Which, that would have been wild. I love
Well, it's like
him
then he like
in
turns
those
around and does like
movies.
Training Day and stuff. And it's like,
That
you're in,
might
like,
have been.
so
I can't
many-
remember if Training Day was before or after this, but I think that might have been. You're like, ooh, I turned this on.
I
He did
should get
Training Day,
something like that,
Equalizer,
yeah.
everything that he does like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Man on Fire is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone that was considered for the older role that Morgan Freeman took on was Harrison Ford.
He would be good.
I don't agree.
I
with
love
that.
Harrison Ford.
I love Harrison Ford. I don't think he would have been good for that
I
role.
feel like he would have been pretty good. He's crabby as hell too. So
Yeah.
that would be, you know.
And then two people that were offered the role that turned it down. Al Pacino would have been tough.
He would have not been. Yeah, I don't know.
And Sylvester Stallone. And he
Ew.
turned it down too. Al Pacino was working on another movie, and Sylvester Stallone, I think, just turned it down.
I feel like also like actors like them, like they're all like experienced actors, so they would probably know what they're gonna like shine in.
Yeah.
And not shine in. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's funny because another quote that I read from David Fincher, he was talking to Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt, and he said, "This is not the movie that's going to make you famous, but it's going to be the movie that you're going to be remembered for."
yeah, that's fair.
And they kill it in these roles. Like,
yeah,
it's
they're
crazy.
good. That's a great movie. There's not anything about that movie that I would be like, I wish they would have done it like this way. It's perfect. It's a good movie.
Brad Pitt says some F slurs, which isn't the best, but you
Grow
know,
up, dude.
it was a different time.
Grow up, man.
I'm grown. My bills are paid.
Wow, dude.
Let's get into some questions. Let's get into some
Okay.
nitty gritty of this.
The
Aka movie.
nitty-gritty. Yeah, let's do it.
So, all right. Put your imagination cap on really quick. Boop. What's your imagination cap look like really quick?
It looks like a swimming cap,
Okay.
but it's orange.
Okay. What color orange?
Like well, like a creamsicle orange, like a vintagey orange.
Is it shiny or matte?
It's matte and shiny in different spots. It's worn. I use it a lot.
Okay, you imagine a lot. Okay, so imagination cap is on. You are a police officer. Let's say you've just done 24 years. You're about to
Tours.
retire.
Yeah.
Not
I
tours.
don't know. Yeah.
You're about to retire. My dad retired after 25 years, so that's what I say everyone should retire
JS.
after. You're about to retire. You have 5 days to retirement. Something like this happens. Something crazy like this starts crossing your desk. Are you getting into it and are you figuring this out and you'll stay for as long as it takes? Or are you sitting behind that desk and doing some paper pushing and living it out in style?
I think I would stay because I feel like because of the urgency of what's happening, I would feel obligated to do something about it, or at least
Yeah.
try
Yeah.
to do it. I might if it was like literally like 5 days before I was retiring, though, that fifth day, if like we weren't getting like anywhere, I would probably just like hand it over and retire.
Back, all right, I'm done.
I don't think I would see it through because like how many of them have you seen through in that amount of time? And it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Unless it feels personal to you that you like need to see it through. Like I get that too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a tricky one. That's a tricky one.
And they talk about that in the movie because when Morgan Freeman's character says he's going to stick around, the police chief is like, "No, you got to go. You got to retire. There's always going to be, the one that got away. You can't can't be on this case anymore."
Yeah.
And he is like, "No, I always see it through to the end." And the police chief says, like, "What about this case? What about this case? What about this case?" And Morgan Freeman says
Those
something.
cases were taken to the lengths that are only humanly possible.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah. It says something along lines of like, I did everything humanly possible,
Yeah.
and that's just where we left it. So he is, and that's the thing. For me, it'd be tough. Like me right now, I'm leaving Goodbye. 5 more days, I'm out. But if I was a police officer for 25 years,
Yeah.
I'd probably, like, that's just ingrained in you now.
Yeah.
Like, I need to finish
I
this.
think too with a spree killer, you would be like, you would catch him pretty quick. I feel like,
Yeah.
because that's like sloppy. Like it's not like it's like that.
Not
like
John Doe.
I mean, they've caught him in 2 weeks.
They didn't catch him. He gave himself
Well,
up.
either way,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about.
What I'm talking about.
Detective. He gets all crazy and stuff. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know. I might.
You would stay
I
on.
might see it. I might see it through. It just has, it's tricky, you know, because I feel like as a cop or a detective too, there would definitely be those cases that would haunt you where you would like
Oh, yeah.
need to know. You'd
Oh,
need
yeah.
to like you'd need to see that person behind bars. So if like that would probably be one of those cases too, because it's so brutal. You know what I mean?
My dad was a part of a case that ended after he had retired.
Yeah.
And he went to the court case where they sentenced the guy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it like just bothers you. It's like a puzzle that you never ever can, you know.
Because, I mean,
so-
again, from personal experience, I feel like a lot of people get into police work because they want to help people.
yeah, of course, yeah.
At least I hope that's why they're
I think
into police
especially
work.
detectives, because like they want to get to the bottom of things. They want to know.
They're trying
what's
to figure
going
this
on.
out.
Yeah, so
My
it's,
dad's good
you know,
at it, too.
Your dad.
My dad used to say things when we were kids, like if we'd lie to him, he'd be like, all right, now I'm a police detective. And my investigation clearly indicates, he would always say that line, my investigation clearly indicates. He'd be like, Ben, why'd you eat all those muffins up above the refrigerator? I'd be like, I didn't eat no fucking muffins. What are you talking about? He said, no, I'm a detective. And my investigation clearly indicates that your fat ass mouth has a bunch of chocolate all around. Why'd you eat those muffins? Go run a mile.
Go run a mile.
He would
How many
never do
feet
that.
are in a mile?
5,000, and that's all I can remember.
280.
280.
You
Why
take
don't you
this
take a
ball.
You run every one of them.
You're killing me, Petey.
You're killing me.
Killing me. We should do one on Remember the Titans.
Should we just do a Denzel?
Denzel? That'd be a good one. A Denzel like thing.
He's been in a lot. I've never seen
He's
something
in
with Denzel that I don't
Inside
like.
Man, which is great. Man on Fire is amazing.
He's not about a man on fire.
He's literally in everything that's good. So
It's just
he's
Nana
fine.
laying down.
Bashani.
She's taking a rest after.
But what about
WWOK.
you? Did you say you would?
Yeah, dude, I'm out. No,
You would leave?
right now. I would leave.
You would be like, I'm good. Yeah,
I'm
it's
so
fine.
close to
I
that.
got nothing to prove. I'm
The
just gonna
last
collect
job
my
I quit,
pension.
I gave my 2 weeks notice, and I worked 3 days of that 2 weeks.
Oh my god.
I was assaulted in the store, and I had to leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a story for another time.
He
But
was assaulted.
I was. Yeah, it's just wild. Like I see the respect and the reverence of, you know, trying to help people, but at the same time it's like, dude, I've been doing it for so long. I'm done.
Right.
Like I'm out.
Yeah.
I can't do it
No,
anymore.
I get that. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
So they're investigating, they're getting into it, and they start kind of seeing the pattern. Because at first, I just want to make sure I'm not stepping on Tato. The first body they find is a man who's sitting at his kitchen table. He's dead, obviously. It's a body, and he has eaten himself to death.
Right. And he's huge.
Like big fella.
He's
I'm a
like-
big dude. He's
he's
a big
like-
fella.
Really big. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're talking about that, and then they see, I think, one or two other bodies they find, and then they start connecting it.
There's like buckets of vomit like under him and stuff because he like puked, but they kept force feeding.
Yeah,
him.
he was being
and his
force
stomach
fed.
tore open. Like
He got
died,
kicked. Yeah. They
Yeah.
kicked him,
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
spilled forth,
yeah.
so to speak.
Her.
Yeah, it'd be a bummer. Sometimes I feel like I've eaten that much.
I feel that same. Yeah, White Castle. You know what I'm saying?
I'm so happy I haven't had White Castle in so long.
Oh, I'm not. I'm not happy about that at all.
Well, it's impossible for us to get White Castle because the White Castle by your house cleans the grill for 3 hours at a time.
Yeah, because they care about their service.
That's the reason.
It's a great delicatessen, a deli.
So they find the first body for gluttony. They start kind of finding all of these bodies again within like 2 weeks or something, and they're finding the pattern that is the 7 deadly sins. They do research on the 7 deadly sins. They start finding all these bodies, and they're like horrific ways to die, horrific ways to like kill people.
For sure. Yeah, some of them though are worse than others, I would say.
Yeah.
Because again, I don't remember every single one. There's like specific ones that I feel like I would never forget, kind of thing.
Definitely.
You know? Yeah. So even if you watched it one time, I feel like there would be like that one that would just like be like, oh god, that one is like really disturbing.
Yeah,
to me.
there's going to be one or two that definitely stick with you.
What do you think the one that you find the most disturbing is?
Honestly, I think
personally,
it's probably going to be the same one for you.
Okay.
And it's lust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and describe that scenario if you
The
like.
lust one is interesting because he goes to like an S&M bondage
Club.
store.
Or
it's like a store, so like
it's a leather goods store.
Yeah, you could have this dude make like apparatuses that you would
That's
want.
a gentle way of putting it.
Yeah, like
That's
I
good.
mean, I guess most people wouldn't get this, right? Like they would get like
Definitely.
harnesses and gags and like whatever.
Yeah, harnesses, full gimp suits, stuff like that.
Yeah, so anyways, he gives this guy like a plan to make this thing, and basically like it's this like apparatus that like goes around his pelvis, and it has like this large like blade spike thing. It's huge. It's like a giant thing, and he like ends up like going to like, I feel like he goes to like it's like a sex club. It's like a weird like,
it's like an underground.
Yeah, it's like a sleazy like, you know, you have to have a password to get in kind of thing.
It's pretty sleazy. Yeah.
And he like just traps this dude and this girl, and he makes this dude wear it and just like, you know, go to town on this girl. And it's like
leads to her death.
Leads to her probably a very quick death. It's probably the only thing that was good about it. Yeah. But it's like really disturbing. And honestly too, like that actor, that the guy that he's in so many things that you probably would be like, oh yeah, like I don't even know his, like I have no idea. I couldn't even describe him. But if you saw him, you'd be like, yeah, he's in a lot of stuff. Anyways, he gets so upset like in the movie, but he like, I feel like he overdoes it to the point where it's like, he like Tony Collette's it. You know what I'm saying? Like he,
okay. First of all, Tony Collette's incredible.
But you know, he's hyperventilating, and I get it because it's traumatic. But like, I just felt like it was a lot. But it made it more disturbing. It made it more disturbing, right?
Well, so and something else I read today while they were recording that scene, that actor, when they recorded his scene, I think he hadn't slept for about 3 days to kind of give him that like erraticness.
Yeah,
and he would like hyperventilate before the cameras were running.
Right, of course.
So then his body would be like craving more oxygen, and it would just like, oh gosh, it would just further the physicality of the
like
scene.
the believability.
Yeah, and just like the fact that he was so like and that's kind of the unique thing. He's the only person that wasn't like killed in the murder.
That one is disturbing. The only thing I would say that could be arguably as disturbing or more disturbing would be Sloth.
Sloth is vile
because it took a year.
Yeah,
like so he like basically just makes this dude like slowly like wither away over the course of a year.
He chained this guy to a bed.
He's got like bed sores all over him. He can't see because he's like been not like he hasn't looked at light in a year.
Yeah,
like he's like totally messed
he's just
up.
feeding him through like an IV basically. He's just laying in this bed for a year,
and this room's like covered in like air fresheners. Like it's
because
very
his body
disturbing.
is rotting.
Yeah, like it's
but he's
very
still
disturbing.
alive.
Yeah, it's definitely, and that one I think if you like if you found yourself in a position where you were the person doing that, that would probably be one of the worst ones because it would take a year.
It took so long.
It's a mental and physical game.
He didn't die, but he died from his wounds.
Yeah, like he died in the hospital. Like after
they
all
found
that happened to him. Yeah,
and they got him into a hospital and he passed away.
And he looks like a zombie.
He really does. He's
zombie.
Zombie. No, disrespectful to the dead.
Hit.
I really like that song, and it's like a good song, and it's like kind of sad.
Yeah. It is.
The two pieces of media the two pieces of film that I've seen that song in, and I've like experienced that song through. The first one was The Office, and Jim Halpert sings it to Karen Filippelli, and he like it's a very like easily like copyable song, and he sings it, and it sounds horrible, and he's like doing it to like piss her off.
Yeah.
Which like bums me out because then I heard it in the show Dairy Girls, and it's like really like like it's a sad song.
Dress it up or dress it down.
Well, yeah, because it's talking about the civil unrest in Ireland, and it's
Yeah.
really sad.
Yeah.
And like the first time I heard it, it was because Jim Halpert was being a dick. So, but yeah,
Halpert.
back on it though. Yeah, Sloth is horrible, and he died after all that. And it's just like
Ugh.
none of these would be good. Like I wouldn't choose any over any other one, but there are
Yeah.
definitely ones that are like horrible. Like the
Of course.
overeating, like
Yeah.
that's crazy.
They're all terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the imagery, depending on how they depict it, obviously affects you remembering certain ones, right? Like, because it just
Definitely.
like the overeater one, like I can see that dude like hunched over the chair, and it's like, oh god, dude, this looks like bleak. Like this looks bad. Like this looks
well,
not
and like
good.
all of the apartments that they're finding these people in are disgusting.
Dude, they're like old Gotham apartments. Like they're
Oh,
like,
they're
yeah,
so
the walls are
bad.
dirty, and like, yeah, it's just like, ugh.
Like, and that's the first one. The first one that they're in, the gluttony apartment. I'm like, how long has this been
and, like,
since he
there's no
died?
lights
Or
in
were you
here.
living
Yeah.
in this?
Ugh.
Like, this is so gross.
That's what I wonder too. Yeah, like did he
Vile.
live like this, and then that dude came and like did
He's
that?
like, obviously, this guy is
like he's just done. He doesn't deserve
Yeah.
to be around. That's what he's
he
saying.
doesn't deserve
That's what,
to be
well,
around.
that's what the guy thought.
I know. John Doe.
Yoned. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, lots of horrible stuff.
Yeah.
Basically, they go through, they find 5 bodies or 5 instances. So they've
Yeah.
got 5 of the 7, sins accounted for.
Yeah.
And then just out of the blue, John Doe, because he doesn't give them his name, he just shows up at the police department.
Yeah.
And like screams after the detectives. He's like, detective, detective, detective. And he's in the middle of the PD.
yeah, he makes a scene.
Yeah, he's just like, I think you've been looking for me. And it's just like there. So then they all freak out. They put him into custody. And basically, the killer, through his lawyer, says, I'll admit to everything. I'll show you the last 2 bodies.
Yeah.
You guys just have to come out into this like bleak desert with me.
Yeah.
Just you 2. That's it.
Yeah.
And they're saying, no way, we're not doing this. We don't, like, you're a terrorist at this point. We're not like negotiating with you. You have to come clean. And you've already said you've done them. Like, we
Right.
could use this. He's like, no, I can get you off, blah, blah, blah. And basically it gets down to like the plea of insanity. If they don't do what this killer is asking them to do, he's just going to plead insanity and get away with everything.
Yeah, of course.
Which just begs the question, John Doe, this killer, who meticulously goes through, he's writing all of this down. He has books and books and books of notes, and he like really just kind of masterminds this whole scenario.
Yeah.
Would you consider him psychotic or genius at this point? Like, obviously genius and not a positive term, but like, is he insane or is he so smart that he figured all this out? I ask the question to you.
And I will answer it with something that I heard that I think is relevant
He
to this.
batshit bananas.
No, that what basically what it says is the only difference between a genius and someone that is insane. Wow, dude.
You're doing
The
great.
difference between somebody the difference between somebody that is insane and somebody that is a genius is only measured by success,
Absolutely.
right? So because people like that are like geniuses are typically people that are like hyper focused people
Yeah.
that are like really intense about
Yeah.
like a specific thing,
Like me.
right? So they could be considered insane to many, but if
Yeah.
they're very successful and they like provide for the planet and like whatever, then
Yeah.
like they're
Right.
a
Okay,
genius.
obviously
Yeah.
something's going on here.
So I
You did
think
something
it's
right.
a fine line to be towed,
Yeah.
and I think that people like him have the potential to go one or two ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's like he just went the other way.
This is a very political answer you're giving
Yeah.
us.
No,
How
I
would you
think
give us
that's-
black and white? Like, what is he
No,
insane
it's
or
not.
is he a
It's
genius?
just not. He's not though. It's just not.
He's
that
not
way.
insane. He's not a genius.
What he does in his realm is
Mm-hmm.
a genius plan,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that he is like a genius.
Again,
you know what I'm saying? Like-
genius does not in and of itself have a positive connotation. You're a
Right. Yeah.
genius.
Yeah. Right. He's just a genius. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's not a positive genius. Let's
Yeah.
say. Yeah. So, I would say he's like, but I don't think he is. He didn't seem. To me, I don't think he seemed like insane. He seemed to know exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
He seemed to have like a full plan to do everything. He obviously thought it out quite a bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like to me, it's like what you did was insane, but I don't think you're insane. I think you just are really good at like planning this stuff out, which is bad. So,
Very bad.
you know, what about you? What do you think?
I think, again, he is a criminal genius. He's a criminal
Yeah.
mastermind. He figured all this out.
Do you think he's insane though?
No.
No.
He was very sane. He was very aware of what he was doing.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's the thing. Insanity is one of the definitions I've heard from insanity. I'm sure a lot of people have heard this, is insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome.
Yeah, right.
So he kind of perfected this. And we don't know if he's killed other people.
Yeah, probably
before
has
this.
though. The chances are
Yeah.
high. Yeah.
But
somebody
he
like
he was meticulous enough to figure out exactly what he was going to do, and then he did it.
that. Right.
Like,
Yeah.
pretty perfectly. Which brings us to the last two sins, which are envy and wrath. I'm pretty sure it's envy.
Yeah, it is.
So the two detectives, they're like, we got to end this. We're done. So they drive out in a squad car into the middle of this desert, basically, and they walk out into this desert. And John Doe's just talking, you know, not really making a lot of sense, but kind of like explaining himself to a certain
Right.
extent. Talking. And they get to a point where they're just out there and this random delivery van like drives up out of nowhere.
Right.
There are police in a helicopter kind of watching the situation. No one's on the ground besides Detective Mills and Detective Somerset. So Somerset, Morgan Freeman's character, he like goes over and he's like, I got to figure this out. Guns drawn. He's like, what are you doing? Why are you here? And the delivery dude's just like, listen, man, I was told to drop off this box and then leave. Like
I think he paid him like $250.
yeah, he like paid him cash. He's like,
Yeah.
just get this box here at this exact time.
Right.
Another thing to like kind of show his genius.
Yeah.
Get this here right at this time. Gets it there. They want to send bomb squad in. It's just this giant box and they don't know what's going on. Somerset, like an OG, just takes out that pearl inlaid handled stiletto.
Literally.
And cuts it open. And in the infamous words of Brad Pitt, what's in the box? Which is from that movie, if you've ever heard that. In the box is Gwyneth Paltrow's head.
Yeah.
It's Brad Pitt's wife.
Yeah.
John Doe cut off her head,
Right.
put it in the box,
Had it
and
delivered.
had it delivered to himself.
Because he envied Brad Pitt, so envy was his sin.
Yes, he envied the
Yeah.
life that Brad Pitt had.
Right.
And
Clever.
to really kind of bring the point home, Brad Pitt's wife was pregnant at the time.
Unbeknownst to him.
Yeah, which sucks because Detective Somerset knew. She
Right.
told
I know,
Somerset.
yeah.
She didn't tell
Which she said not
Mills,
to
her
say
husband.
anything, yeah.
Yeah, so Mills knew that she was pregnant.
Right.
And then saw her dead ass head in that box.
Yeah.
So he like tries to like
He immediately
it's
is like,
fine.
no.
Everything's okay.
Yeah, he's
Don't
like-
worry.
He's
Don't
like, let me see your gun too, just to see what it looks like.
Let me see.
He's like, let me feel it. For a
yeah, I just
second.
want to like see how the sights line up. So he basically like tries to like cut this out and then cut it off. And then John Doe basically like lets the head out of the box, the cat out of the bag, and says, "Yeah, I envied you, so I cut off her pretty little head."
Yeah.
And like he says that, and it's like brutal.
Yeah.
And Brad Pitt has a hard time.
Yeah, he freaks out. He's got a 45 in his hand. And he's freaking out.
Yeah.
He's going through it.
So unfortunately, the last sin that needs to be discussed and talked about is wrath. And understandably so, Brad Pitt is pretty wrathful and ends up killing John Doe.
Which
Shoots
was
him.
part of his plan.
Exactly.
He wanted Brad Pitt to be the last sin, which would be wrath. So like he wanted like basically he made this plan where he's completely a working part in his own plan. And
Again,
still doesn't even need to
genius.
see it till its end because he knows that it, like.
Well,
this
and
is
that's
just
the
how it's
end.
gonna be.
He
Yeah.
sees it to the end
He
and
knows
basically
like they're gonna
sees that
get out
bullet
there
coming at him.
that time. He's gonna be like pissed. He's gonna see that thing. He's gonna take this amount of time to do it, and then he's gonna shoot him. Like it's
Yeah.
like wow, dude, you know.
It's meticulous.
Yeah, it's meticulous indeed.
and gross.
Makes you think.
Yeah, so it ends on that sad ass, dreadful ass note, and it's just like, all right, it's done. There's no light in the world. Everything is sad and horrible.
And even in the middle of the movie, there's a scene that I won't get into the whole scene, but there's a scene that like basically Kevin Spacey has the opportunity to kill Brad Pitt and chooses not to. And then at the end, of course, then you have to think like, okay, he didn't kill him because he knew how this was going to be. He had a bigger picture plan already for Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And then I also do have a follow-up thing to that. Do you think Brad Pitt in real life, do you think he would go to jail for that or no?
No.
Yeah, I feel like they would just cover for him.
I'm not going to be like, he's a police officer.
Yeah,
Like,
they would cover
for
for
him
for sure. Yeah. I don't know if that's right or wrong. I feel like it's understandable, but I don't know if it's right or wrong.
It's understandable, and I saw a TikTok about this. Oh, this chair is just really uncomfortable today, and I don't know why.
No.
I saw a TikTok about this guy. He came home to his brother assaulting his like 9-year-old daughter.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And he killed his brother. He's like,
I think he just beat him to death, didn't he?
Yeah, they beat him to death or shot and killed him.
Yeah.
Like he just took him out. It was done.
Yeah.
And then he basically kills his brother, calls the police and turns himself in. He's like, hey, this is what happened. I killed my brother. This is my address. I'm here. The body's here. Everyone's here.
Yeah.
And then he goes on the front lawn and just like stays there.
Yeah, right.
Until the police come.
Yeah.
Police come. They arrest him because you
yeah,
have
he's
to be
going to
arrested
jail.
at that point.
Yeah, 100%.
They end up passing it along to the district attorney's office, and they acquit him, and they like basically say, "You're good. It's done."
They're like, well, yeah.
He basically just
if
got
there's
pardoned.
like irrefutable proof that he was like molesting that kid or something like that, then I kind of get that. If there's like 100% proof, that's what happened.
again,
and I mean, you don't know if he was going to kill that kid.
Well, and that's the
like,
thing. A case could be made for like defense of a minor.
Yeah, like 100%.
Like if I was walking down the street and I saw somebody beating the piss out of a little kid, I would have an issue.
Right,
with
you'd
it.
have to because you don't know what if they like do something where the kid falls and hits his head on the concrete and dies. You don't know if it'll even be like on purpose, but it might be. Yeah,
right?
so like.
Yeah, so it's just in that situation, I really don't think Brad Pitt would be in a lot of trouble. But like, let's say you were in that situation. You're in New City.
Like I was Brad Pitt?
You're Brad Pitt. You just like killed the man who killed your wife.
Right.
And unbeknownst to your unborn child.
Yeah.
Would you keep being a police officer at that point? Like it's your first week in that new city.
No, I would probably move away, especially because he literally has nothing there for him anymore.
What's 2 dogs?
I was going to get to that. I would take my dogs and I would go somewhere like vacationing, and I would like just try to like live my life and just chill.
Yeah.
I would do something simple for a living that like was easy, and I would just like
keep your brain busy and just be done.
Yeah.
I would have a very hard time doing that.
Yeah,
like
it would bother me.
Living my life doing the job.
You would never like not see that head in that box. Like,
and that's the thing because he never saw it, which is great.
Well, yeah, at that moment, maybe he did later though.
Oh, I would do anything I could to not see that.
I feel like you'd need to see it.
Absolutely not.
I would have to see it.
Absolutely not.
I'd be like this.
Bombastic side eye.
Yeah.
Criminal side eye.
Hey.
Yeah, I would which is funny because the whole thing about, Morgan Freeman retiring, he just wants to go off and work on a farm. That's his retirement plan. That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
I want to do that right now.
Let's do it. We could podcast on the farm.
What would it be called? Would we call it the dish still?
It'd be called
the pail.
It'd be called the husk.
It doesn't have the same ring.
Corn husk. Corn
huskers.
The Huskers, the Husker-doos.
Huskaroo, you're beautiful
Dunkaroos.
in
Do you remember
everything
Dunkaroos?
you do. Yeah, do you remember Huskaroos? I always talk about Huskaroos too.
Yeah, dude.
For everyone listening, Huskaroos is a fat kid clothing brand from the show Weeds.
Come on. Oh my god.
It's so funny because it's this little husky girl. I can't remember her name, but she's walking around and her mom is like, come on, we got to go. And she's talking to this random adult. She goes up and the little girl goes, Mom, she wants me to be a model. And the mom goes, that's a sick joke. And it's like so shitty about her. She's like, no. Your daughter would be perfect. She's got the beautiful round face and just extra, bits to love. I have I represent a clothing brand called Huscaroos. And the little girl's so pumped. She's like, I'm going to be a model. And the mom is like,
she's like,
we're leaving. It's so mean about it. And it's so funny. She ends up doing a bunch of commercials and making a bunch of money and not giving any to her mom.
Money. Yeah.
What is the little girl's name? I can't remember the little girl.
What little girl?
What little girl? Little Chinese girl. What little Chinese girl?
It's from Rush Hour.
I was going to say name that movie.
Rush Hour.
Gold
Rush
star
Hour.
for you. No.
I got the gold star just now.
I want to crush it in my hand. Remember when we were trying to buy that and I said I wanted a gold one or else I didn't want it at all, and then we got a gold one?
Yeah, it took forever. Amazonian, dude.
Your buddy Jeff delivered it.
Jeff Reed.
And that's the movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's very gory. It's very conflicting. It's very good to watch. It's good for every occasion.
Christmas, bar mitzvahs.
Something to think about, though. If you were in Kevin Spacey's shoes, if you felt compelled to kill people like that, would you think that God was the one doing it, or would
Not
you,
at all.
or would you think you were crazy? Because if you were crazy, you wouldn't know you were crazy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So you would think. I feel like your reality would be.
I can say pretty certainly.
Yeah, but your mindset might be different at that moment because you would be crazy.
I know it's not God.
Crazy.
Though. I'm a logical person.
You're illogical.
My God would not tell me to do that.
My God
is an awesome God. He reigns. You asked me the question, I answered it. You can't ring the bell.
Ring my bell.
Please
it was
stop.
A good movie.
It's a great movie.
It was a good movie for the 7th movie. I would say I highly recommend that movie.
I do want to say, too, David Fincher, I feel like at this point, I can tell it's a David Fincher movie just by watching the movie itself and seeing how it's directed. Because I feel like David Fincher records everything from his belly button.
Yeah,
because the line of sight is so low. It's always right over a table or
that's fair.
There's just a lot of
I wonder if you'll see his stuff in the game. If you'll notice it. It's
absolutely. I recognize his shots in Se7en, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Gone Girl, The Social Network, which is such a different movie, but I can still recognize that he did
he's
it.
got some range to him for sure.
He has some range, but he has a very particular style.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
so good.
Yeah,
I just love all of his movies. It's funny. I had never seen Gone Girl, and I'm just not a big Ben Affleck guy.
Yeah.
I used to be made fun of because of Ben Affleck, because my name is Ben, and people would call me Benifer.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't appreciate it.
I get that.
Shouts out to you. You know who you are. There's no way in hell they're watching this.
They thought you looked like Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez. That's why they called
Jennifer Lopez? I thought it was Jennifer What's-Her-Face.
Jennifer Garner.
Jennifer Gardner.
No, he's married to Jennifer Lopez.
He was married to Jennifer Garner.
I know, but he's married to Jennifer Lopez right now.
Right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was back when I was a child.
He was with Jennifer Lopez back in the day too. They dated beforehand.
I don't believe you. Then when was he with Jennifer Garner?
In the between.
In the between?
Yeah. The
Makes it easy for him.
Between.
He doesn't have to think of a new name.
That's true. Yeah.
There's
he
no
has a
way
big
I can look this up.
Phoenix tattooed on his back, and
it's
god awful,
so bad.
But it's huge and it's hilarious. I encourage everybody to Google Ben Affleck's back tattoo. It's hilarious and it's disgusting. And it's huge. It's massive.
And then Google my back tattoo, and then Google Chase's back tattoo.
Google.
Bigger, girl, bigger. Name that reference.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know.
All right, cool. So, anyways. We're gonna do a lighter movie next time, I'd say.
I'm hoping
lighten
to.
the load. I have some ideas right now that I'm gonna run by you after we're done here, but I think we'll do a lighter one. And if anyone has any suggestions for lighter movies too, that would be cool. So just let us know and drop us a line, please.
I'm gonna post not a poll, but a question and answer on the Instagram. So, either right when this episode comes out, if you're listening to this and you want to go to our Instagram, it's going to be on the Instagram. Give us any, suggestions for movies.
Yeah.
I prefer movies that I've already seen. I don't like new things very much.
I like everything, so maybe just send everything over.
Because
Not all about Benifer.
Don't start with
Oh.
me. Absolutely don't start that.
Oh.
But yeah, send us some movies. We had the joke 2 episodes ago where we were going to do like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But
Yeah.
I really don't want to watch 8 Mile. Sorry,
We
Melise.
have to, Malika. We'll do 8 Mile for Melissa's birthday week.
That's coming up.
Yeah.
So
Melise, if you're listening.
Isn't her birthday like next week?
I don't know.
I was just looking at my
I'll
calendar.
have to look at my calendar.
I have it. It's right here. Here it
When
comes.
is it? Everybody
Give me a second.
needs to know.
Yeah,
her birthday.
Melise, that's right. I'm not real friends with you because I have to look up your birthday.
At least you have it saved like I do. That means you're a good friend.
John Wick Chapter 4 comes out May 23rd. It's soon. And that's why I feel garbage about this.
It's okay. Either way.
Mother's Day is coming up too.
I know. It's exciting. Anyways.
Melise, when is your birthday?
I was going to say that we'll probably not do an 8 thing, but we will do like a lighter, cool movie, I think.
I found it.
I think we're good.
It's that day. Don't say it.
Okay. We'll do that then. That's fine. Okay. So anyways, you can listen to this on Spotify, Apple Music.
Not Apple Music.
What is it?
Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcast.
Spotify,
and
Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.
YouTube. We got an Instagram up. We're ready to go. Everybody
Yeah.
subscribe and listen
Hit
and
that notification bell.
Hit it. All right, cool. Anyways, everybody have a wonderful night. Everybody sleep well. Everybody good morning. Everybody good afternoon.
I'm going to have a hard time sleeping well because we talked about a scary movie. I'm sick of scary movies. Can we watch something like cute
Anybody
and
want
fun?
to drop any ideas
Fun
for maybe Ben
movies.
to grow up and be okay?
Yeah, I want to watch fun movies. I'm so excited. I'm about to watch.
We're
Let's just
watching Casper and we're watching Haunted Mansion.
I will watch the absolute pants off of some Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, it's a
I
good one.
love
Eddie
that
Murphy.
movie.
He's a star.
I love Eddie Murphy so
I do
much.
too. Yeah.
Really quick, just a movie that I've seen recently. Don't be upset. I'm talking. This is my podcast.
Go ahead.
Chase and who?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just watched John Wick Chapter 4 twice. It's really, really good. Everyone should go watch it. The John Wick movies are incredible.
Yeah, they are great.
I think we
We'll do
might
a
talk
thing
about
on
all
at
of
some
them.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
And that's the other thing too. Like there are a lot of movies that we want to talk about that are like a part of like huge like sagas. Like obviously we did a Harry Potter episode.
James
Bond
Lord of
is
the
going to have
Rings.
to happen. Lord of the Rings, Star Wars,
Yeah.
Star Trek.
Star Trek.
There's a lot of like.
Sopranos.
Well, and that's the thing. There's TV shows,
Yeah, it's,
Sopranos,
like,
The
so
Office,
crazy.
House, all of these like incredible shows.
Yeah.
So there's a lot on the horizon. There's a lot in the future. But again, if there's anything that's kind of pulling at your heartstrings that you want us to watch earlier, let us know.
Yeah.
It'll probably happen.
True. All right.
But yeah, everything that you just said and more.
All right.
Everybody take care. Enjoy the rest of your day or the beginning of your day or enjoy whatever time that you have left.
Yeah. All right.
Wait! We found this really cool quote that we want to put in the podcast because we put quotes with the podcast. And the quote is such: "He that falls into sin is a man, that grieves at it is a saint, that boasteth of it is a devil."
Yes.
And that is by Thomas Fuller. I'm not familiar with her work, but I can say with complete certainty that John Doe from this movie is a devil.
A demon.
He's a very evil, evil person.
He is indeed. All right. Good night, everybody.
And that's what we'll
Good
leave you.
afternoon and good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night.
All right.
And scene.